Good afternoon, everyone. This is Harshal Desai on behalf of Elets Technomedia Private Limited and Digital Learning Magazine. I welcome you all to the World Education Summit, which is being hosted on this wonderful platform today. We have assembled today to discuss the panel discussion on achieving stability for higher education sector through global collaborations. We are very thankful to our speakers who have agreed to join us in this panel discussion today. I would like to announce their name and would like to welcome them in this panel discussion. Dr. D.N.S. Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Sushant University, Gurugram. Welcome, Dr. Kumar, in this panel discussion. Thank you, sir. We have Professor G.R. Naik, Vice Chancellor, Garden City University, Bangalore. Welcome, Mr. Nair, in this panel discussion. I also welcome Professor Dr. Parvinder Singh, Vice Chancellor, Rayat, Bahra University, Mohali, will be joining us shortly. Welcome Dr. Shrihari Prakash Honwad, President and Vice Chancellor, Sir Padampat, Singhania University, Udaipur from the state of Rajasthan. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining today. And we have with us Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor, Galgotias University, Greater Noida. I welcome you also, ma'am. We are really very glad that you all have taken time out from your busy schedule and agreed to participate in this panel discussion and share your views, your opinion, and your expertise in this forum on this wonderful platform called Avatar with the delegates who have joined us from across the country. The subject is achieving stability for the higher education sector through global collaboration. And we all know we are going through a tough time where the stability has been impacted a lot in higher education sector also and in school education sector also. I would like to start this panel discussion by seeking an opening remark by all our eminent panelists on this particular point, how COVID-19 has impacted the stability of higher education sector in our country. What are your views on this? And I would like to start with Dr. D.N.S. Kumar, Vice Chancellor from Sushant University, Gurugram. Over to you, Dr. Kumar.
Well, good afternoon to everyone, and good afternoon to my fellow scholars on the panel. Well, if I have to put about the higher education and how the pandemic, rather bringing stability, it has made education, particularly higher education, as a dynamic. Because every day we witness new challenges and we create new opportunities and we encash, rather we capitalize such of the opportunities. When I say so, let me give some of the examples or the initiatives that Sushant University at Gurugram has taken. The latest one is we have floated multi-country, multi-host conclave in the area of architecture. We have collaborations in more than 19 countries. Focusing on architecture, we have drawn 9 country collaborators. And these 9 country collaborators are becoming co-host in taking this conclave over a period of next 2 years. And every month, there will be a deliberation, there will be a workshop, there will be a seminar, there will be a paper presentation for 2 days, and every day it will be for 2 hours. In this process, we don't get the participants, or we are not going to get the participants from one country, but from multiple countries. Here, the approach of workshop, pedagogy of discussion, the international exposure in the process of discussion and learning the participants are going to get will be totally different. So what we have done in addition to this is, since we have co-host from 9 countries, different and top-notch institutions and universities across the world, we have floated certificate courses and diplomas. Participants who complete, 7 such works or the workshops, they will get certificate. And the participants who continuously attend and complete some of the assignments and the workshop related discussions, they will get diploma. So this is how the higher education has to be made dynamic. Now, if I recall the offline education before the pandemic that we had, we used to face a challenge to invite international speakers as well as national speakers from educational institutions and from the industries to campus in order to address the students and faculty. But today that has gone at a ease. From all collaborators, non-collaborators also, we are easily able to have people on the online platform. So that way, the higher education deliberation, the higher education approach, the pedagogy, the network, and the exposure has become dynamic. And when all this has happened, I will not restrict it to network, but that has become the net worth of higher educational institutions. Today, the challenge that we have in order to make higher education as a global education, and we to compete at a global level, we require intellectual capital. That is, the faculty has to be trained and faculty has to be retained. That is very important. Although over the last one and a half decade, many private universities have emerged in India. But the challenge which the private universities are facing and where they are not able to address is retention of the faculty. And that is very important. If you look at some of the state and central universities where 25 years plus experienced faculty members who are there in such institutions, such of the faculties are well sought in some of the government committees, machineries, etc. Therefore, the exposure to the faculty, creating opportunities to the faculty, allowing the faculty to participate in various deliberations is very important. At the same time, another thing which we need to address if we want to bring that dynamism in the higher education is, instead of doing all of us, that is all 983 plus universities, 40,000 institutions and all, mass education, we have to focus on class education. What I mean is, if it is a BCom, it is a BCom everywhere, same BCom. If it is a MA in economics, it is the same everywhere. Why don't we pull out the regional economics and teach how to address the economic issues at that particular regional level? So that kind of approach is very important. At the same time, if we have to create global exposure to our students, in addition of just addressing the courses and the programs, we have to integrate in our programs international professional certifications. Some of the mundane subjects of the courses that we have, where students can learn of their own, we need not teach. In place of such courses, we can bring courses which are of international perspective, so that global employability skills and competency can be built among the students.
Right.
This is my call in the beginning. Let me come back after some time. Let me hear
Sure.
from others also.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Dr. S. Kumar, and you very well highlighted, uh, your views on this particular subject, and taking clue from what you said, digitization and IT has a role in achieving stability, as it allows us to go beyond the borders and bring experts from other countries also in our campuses. So this particular thing we'll discuss, of course, but before we do that, I'd like to go to Professor G.R. Naik, Vice Chancellor, Garden City University, Bangalore, and would request him to share his opening remark in about 4 to 5 minutes on how the pandemic has, impacted the stability in higher education sector, and how it has impacted the global collaboration mechanism in universities in the country. You're mute. You're mute, Professor Naik. Yes. No.
Thank you,
Yes.
Desai, and also I would like to thank Elets for giving us an opportunity in this particular mega event.
Thank you, sir.
As you rightly said, the pandemic has created a great challenge in front of the higher education, especially in country like India. But fortunately, the same time we had a discussion lot on national education policy, and there are two aspects which the national education policy provides, mainly the flexibility in the course structure and the curriculum, and also opening to the international scenario and absorbing the ideas from international forum in the Indian context are the one which are helpful in going ahead. Now, when I talk about the pandemic, I'm very uh, thankful for giving this opportunity. And also, what is happening in all our country, the same thing was happening in private universities also. But it is proud to tell you that a Garden City University, where we had an international microclimate since its inception, where students from 80 nations are taking classes and studying. Alumni are there all over the world, and because of that, the exposure to the international situation was already there. And when the pandemic started, whatever efforts we were taking care to give the global competition or global exposure to our student has received a boon, I can say. Even though our offline classes were going, there was always a try from our chancellor, the visionary Mr. Joseph, to see that the university has a difference as compared to the other universities which has, and the main emphasis on professionalism, global vision, and also taking people into the subjects or the courses which are globally accepted. And in this particular context, it was very easy, or I can say it was not very difficult for our faculty as well as the university system to shift from offline to the online type of teaching. We immediately adopted the new softwares or the new techniques which are necessary. And apart from that, looking into the changing scenario where we have to go with the pandemic for some more time, the university took decision to collaborate with the institutions which are very good in the online type of education, and then things have been worked out in that particular direction. For example, each school we have made a international advisory board, and looking into that, collaborating with the people who are already best in online teaching, giving online courses. We immediately started even contacting our own collaborators, which were already doing, especially during COVID. A university from Spain, UCGC, came forward, and we also took the help of the online teaching program and the experts which are available there to come immediately and take care of many of our courses which we wanted to do. Going further, it is very interesting to tell me that the university had already international uh, section, a license officer who is doing this particular work, which is now prescribed in the various international forums. Apart from that, there is also a concept where we are trying to collaborate, and we are trying to bring the universities from abroad in various our teaching programs, looking into all those things. We had discussions with the various universities, again from Spain, as well as we have recent discussion with the Harvard University Business School, that how we can collaborate and go ahead with the students. Even we have started developing our curriculum or in skill oriented way. Even the concepts which are mentioned in the sustainable development goals. In fact, the theme is stability, but in other words, I want to make it sustainability is very important than stability as compared to the stability. And that is the real goal which everybody is talking now in terms of pandemic or in terms of new developments which are taking place in the higher education. So in that particular sustainable development goal, the very important thing is students which are from very other parts, that means whether they are from various parts of the world, and they should be equally treated. And that is the requirement which is going to be fulfilled with the online education, because we have to have collaborations with various universities. We have to give new courses which can be afforded by the students of vulnerable society, especially in our country. And I'm very happy that the new education policy, which talks all these things, is coming with many new programs. For example, we have internationalization of the courses through AIU developed international association, where we are going to have a consortium like that. So we want to take advantage of this, make the students make more aware about how online education is very important. The credits and the course structures have been modified accordingly, and we are seeing that each student is get benefit out of that. They are not neglected. They are being motivated to take such type of courses with frequent webinars, seminars, parent student meet, and all those things. So these are happening around us, and I'm sure in the coming discussions we'll be able to throw more focus on all these things.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor Naik, for sharing these inputs. I'd like to go to Dr. Professor Parvinder Singh, Vice Chancellor, Rayat Bahra University, Mohali. So I would like to understand from your side, of course, the first thing is how pandemic has affected the overall operations within the university. And how do you think that global collaborations have probably helped you in maintaining that stability within the campus and ensure that student, we are keeping pace with the time?
Thank you very much, Harshal Desai. I am very thankful to this platform for organizing this marathon academic activity for 4 days, in which many of the learned, experienced, and seasoned Vice Chancellor, policymakers, administrator, they will be participating, and it will be going to be a big academic history for Indian universities, for higher education institutions. So I congratulate Ravi Gupta, Muhammad Iqbal, and to all the team members who are given a very innovative ideas to brainstorm, and I'm very happy to participate in this. So you see, this pandemic has really turned down the life from upside down, and the things which were happening in February 2020, they seems to be very distant dream now. So we have come out of this thing, and a new challenge which we were thinking is a Web 4, now it should have become an Education 4 now. And during those days we came across the national education policy also. So one can see the government of India, they have envisaged the role of technology, role of foreign collaborations, and the global means all types of the campuses they have geared up, and they started with the online and the blended hybrid teaching only. So we thought that it will be a short-term pandemic, but it prevailed for long. We had to think about the examination also. So in this second wave of COVID-19, I think we were not under so much stress and pressure how to conduct the classes, and immediately as soon as the campuses were closed, so all our teachers, despite of the big challenges to them, they could come out of this thing. They learned, and they had redesigned their curriculum. So I think this e-learning will always be useful, the advanced learning method. Because internet penetration, that is one of the challenge which has come, and we are thinking about the 55% penetration may take place by 2025. But I think we will be expediting this thing. So e-learning portal have already started appearing from different companies. So there is an increasing number of the learners. So they are enrolling themselves for the online courses. So it is first is the emphasis on the digitization, realizing the very rapid development, and the emphasis of the digitization by the new education policy. The government has undertaken a campaign to introduce technology so that we reach to the small towns and the villages. Last year it was considered that there is a equality gap, and there is some division, society division has taken place. But now I think massive technical deception which were taking place last year, the country have little bit executed successfully. So this was unimaginable in the second wave. So even the budget of the government of India, they have earmarked more than 8,000 crore for the technology in the Department of Higher Education. So I think this is the rising day for all of us, for the policymaker, for the academician, that the division which is significant, it will have to be mitigated in the times to come. So more accessibility towards the digital uh, is required. So we need to have the second component, which is very important, that the key priority for all higher education institution will be student must be industry ready, keeping the competencies and the aligning them what is required in the industry. And this is how we have to reframe the digital curriculum. So this can be achieved by the research and innovation into the core education so that it is affordable across the nation. So it is the time to say goodbye to the tradition and monotonous rote learning subjects. So let us start with the innovative program, particularly which are the e-content. So I would like to share in my last meeting with the UGC secretary and other senior official, I propose that let us not have the vice chancellor of our age, that's who are 15 year this experience, 10-year professor. So we need to have the digital vice chancellor. So if we see the population, we are not catering the need of the higher education just by 1,000 universities, out of which 360, 370, they are private, and the public, Central University, Deemed University. We need to open up more and more campuses, removing the riders that this much acre, this much land is required, this much infrastructure is required. So we need to bring the young brigade in the educational administration who are digitally well equipped with. Even in the morning session, I was impressed by one of the learned vice chancellor who said that I cannot cope up with the pressure and the stress of the digital technology which may come in next 2 years. And he was very right, and we must admit honestly, this is the time to hand over the guards to the young people who are globally and digitally trained and who can uh, take the navigation of the higher education. So, regarding the global collaboration, this is really need of our that why we need the global, but there are some uh, impediments which need to be looked into by the policymaker, by the planners, and the people who are on the people who are on the helm of affairs. That we must have the world class infrastructure, we must have the quality teachers, we must have the research laboratories, incubation centers, where for example I was having one MOU with a very branded university of the world who is 50 55 franc. So the parameter which they were suggesting me, Dr. Singh, we need this thing, honestly I could meet only 1 out of 25. So we need to relook. We must reinspect ourselves. And
Right,
this introspection is required, and there must be a white paper within ourselves, so that I
right,
can share with the Gurugram, I can share with the other university, I can share with the Delhi University, I can share with the Western University, Western part of our country, and in the Eastern state of our country. So that will bring more concerted approach for the globalization of our
mhm,
curriculum. And then
right,
the ABC, it was rightly said, there is academic bank credit transfer. So that must be implemented with the holistic spirit. So this is some of my ideas
yes,
that the challenges which are ahead, we must meet as swiftly as possible so that we are in the few first hundreds of the world ranking. And we all know that we need to cope up that deficiencies and cover up the more and more paths, syllabus, labs, research, infrastructure, qualitative parameters. So thank you very much. I will be available on.
thanks, Professor Parvinder Singh, for sharing your input, and uh, thank you so much for this. Now, I'd like to go to Dr. Shrihari Prakash Honwad, President and Vice Chancellor, Sir Padmavat Singhania University, Udaipur. Sir, what are your views on achieving stability with global collaboration? Would like to add one more question to for you is that we are going gaga over making the digitization the best use of digitization and information technology to ensure a remote learning. But how successful it will be in the long run? If you can share your input on both these questions, sir.
Well, to begin with, the pandemic has been, to say the least, disruptive. It's not been totally disruptive in the sense some of the changes were already in place, in the sense a lot of universities were contemplating online education. Even our regulators were talking about online education, and we had a substantial number of actors who said for higher education, especially the professional education, online education is just not right. While they have point, and the point remains even now, especially when it comes to technology, where some hands-on training is essential for the student to build that skill, especially in mechanical engineering or civil engineering. There are going to be those gaps which will act as a deterrence to 100% online education as we are forced to do it today. And I'm sure everybody is looking forward to that time where we could call in students, at least in batches to the campus and make up for that gap which we haven't yet found a solution online. Having said that, even before the pandemic came in, I'm sure we were talking about virtual universities. We were in denial in some sorts, but then today I think all of us have
We have little network disturbance from your side, Dr. Shrihari Honwad. Your frame is freezed at the
don't know why
moment.
it's
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
yeah.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah. See, we also have the Googles and the likes, which are coming in with courses which are outside the university, and they're acting as substitutes to employability, which the universities were supposed to cater to. On the other hand, I think we have always believed that higher education is to create professionals for the society, and today the
Right.
society has become global society, and we
Yes.
need our students to learn in a diverse environment, not just to get sensitized about diverse cultures and diverse learning methods, but also to get that competitive edge uh, from student life with your counterparts across the world. I think from that point of view, global collaboration will play a big role. Secondly, we have always tried to pick up either localized solutions for localized problems, and or we have followed global problems and tried to do research on that, which have been in some sense irrelevant to local situations. I think even that would get addressed, would get rectified once a global collaboration happens. There will be those global problems for which we can offer localized solutions. There will be local problems for which we can bring in globalized solutions. And it's important for our students to be exposed to this problem solving ability, problem solving activity that's happening globally.
Right.
Then, of course, they need to be exposed to different types of learning environments. There is slowly what you call a digital fatigue setting in our students because we are trying to replicate our classroom environment in an online mode without thinking that in a classroom the student has almost 160 degrees which are occupied by the teacher, and today it's only the 9 inches or at most 14 inches which is occupied by the teacher, and he has the rest of the degrees and everything else happening at home, affecting his focus. I think
Right.
we need to go into asynchronous online activity, combine it with synchronous online activities so that you get all students on the same page. At SPSU, we are doing these experiments, and we have found some success. I'm sure we will be able to, translate it across the board
Right.
for others. And even these experiments, when you have global collaborations, the best practices will come in handy. We do have our own students have been doing online courses from University of Nebraska and several universities in Canada and Japan. In fact, this year, even the internships have been online. How effective they are? Well, in absence of an alternative, I'm sure that is the best we could do. And an interested student, an active student, will extract a lot of leverage from whatever opportunities that are being available, even online, in spite of the digital divide. In fact, asynchronous online would help us, even come overcome the digital divide and so on and so forth. I'm sure global collaboration is one way of uh, attacking the disruption, attacking several disruptions which are going to come ahead of us, uh, and stabilize the higher education scenario
Right.
for the entire world, because we are not looking at solutions which are local today.
Yes.
The entire world is facing the pandemic. The entire world will have to face this problem of creating professionals for
Right.
the whole world.
Right. Right.
I
Thank
think
you.
that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you, Dr. Shrihari, Prakash Honwad, President and Vice Chancellor, Sir Padampat Singhania University, Udaipur. I'd like to go to Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor, Galgotias University, Greater Noida. Would like to ask you, ma'am, of course, the first question, the impact of pandemic, and second question to you is, how do you see the regulatory framework in our country, uh, uh, when it comes to promote global collaborations?
Uh, Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. So I'll start with your first part of the question, which is impact. So
Hmm.
probably everybody by this time is accustomed to. If I talk about education, I would say when the whole world was almost locked down, we were all working. So whether we were working from home, online, late evenings, but then our students were learning with whatever tools were available. And that 1 year was full of experiment. The students were learning which tools, how they can make use of, whether laptop works, the mobile works, how it can be integrated, multiple, integration of technology. So I would say COVID-19 was full of integration of technology and all experiments. But
Right.
within 1 year, everybody has accustomed to now what can work, what can be free of cost, what are the tools available, what are the sources of information, how I can integrate the technology, and many corporates have come forward with free tools. So all support system was given. The everybody was exposed to every tool which is available and which was available. Now it is time to implement. So this year would be full of implementation, collaboration. So actual work would start now. And last 1 year has shown all of us, especially who are in the education sector, where are the gaps? the teachers have realized that are they really ICT compatible? To what extent? What they don't know? What has to be learned? What are the skill set required for teacher also to survive next 10 years, 20 years in the digital domain? It has given the questions to the students as well. What are the tools of today? And to cope up with this generation with these tools, the teachers have to have the reskilling. That would be my point, which I would like to highlight in today's panel discussion. That
Right.
until unless we do reskilling, the teachers reskilling, whether those are research tools, those are ICT tools. If we talk about even education 4.0, it would talk about lot of reskilling, disruptive technologies. So where do we stand? How many? If I say next 20 years are going to be dominated by artificial intelligence. So how many our teachers are actually having hands-on experience on artificial intelligence? How many our teachers really have hands-on with, they can work with any of the cloud and they can create their own repository, they can create their own resources, they can share with the world, they can get in, so it's time for all the administrators or educators or the decision makers in the country. So I would touch upon what you said is regulatory bodies and for the global collaboration. But I just wanted to set this, that for global collaboration, if I talk about, before that, we need to know where do we stand in the global competition. So this last 1 year has taken up, probably it was a leap which India would have taken otherwise in 10 years. So now because of pandemic, probably we are 10 years ahead of time now, because we realize that yes, ICT is the need of an hour, we need to work on. So that was answer to, first point. Coming to the regulatory setup for the global collaboration, I will like to highlight and limit myself and will not enter into domain which can be of any controversy. I would like to confine this global platform for having the collaboration in I won't say asynchronous, but I would say informal collaboration, but which is a strong collaboration, which would be basically for the research. This pandemic has shown the distance doesn't matter, country doesn't matter, and everybody can work in the collaboration, whether it is within country or it is at international level. I think this were complete. The internet or the all social media, those were full of all webinars. Probably the webinars and the seminars which people have not attended so far. Everybody was having scarcity of time because so many opportunities have gotten, and that has shown. So I would say the experiments like short internships, fellowships, research collaboration, this has no limitation. There
Right.
is no regulatory control. We always wanted to go on a commercial side, or we wanted to go for, wherein the two countries would come in. But then credit transfer system, which is the highlight, one of the point which is being highlighted in NEP at multiple points, multiple places. Internship, it has been highlighted at multiple places. Interdisciplinary approach, multidisciplinary learning from different sources. And for this, no such regulatory framework which is being defined. Our students can learn from different universities, whichever course they have offered. The credit transfer should take place to our university. That's only is required. They can learn
Right.
from any industry, they can learn from any country, they can learn from any university globally that has no. So there is no regulatory framework as on today for credit transfer. It's open.
Right.
And we should, we should go and encash this. So credit transfer, internships, and then research collaboration. These three things which are being highlighted at multiple places, I would
Right.
say we should go for that, and we should, and I have done some experiments on that. The students are doing international internships, and we have credit transfer for that. I look at the future like the 40 courses of engineering have been opted from 40 countries or 40
Hmm.
universities for that purpose. And finally,
Right.
the parent university wherein you have taken admission, you will be a degree awarding. That's it.
Right.
So that do not require any formal setup of collaboration. That's
Right.
what in a short, and then probably we will
Right.
take up through
Yes,
panelists.
yes, 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 Dr. Preeti Bajaj. I will, after this detailed opinion, detailed remark and opening remark from all the panelists, I like to have quick answers and quick comments from the panelists on next question. To first, I'd like to ask Dr. D.N.S. Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Sushant University, Gurugram. Uh, it is right that we are making best use of information technology and digitization, sir, and we are, we have been to a great extent successful in collaborating with foreign universities also when it comes to imparting knowledge and education to our students through digitized mechanism. But the thing is, what I want to ask you is how effective it will be when it comes to generating a job for the students. Dr. D.N.S. Kumar.
Well, this is a very interesting, you know, the what should I say, a question or the clarification that you have sought. See, we have to understand online education, which is required at a global level, in its true perspective. Online education is not whatever the theory that we have, whatever the traditional education that we have, you put on the technology. No, that will not help. You have to instill a skill, competency, attitude among the students. And that requires an experiential learning, a teacher led discussion, articulation, industry executive participating, community participating, all stakeholders participating. At the same time, if you look at any course in current education system, hardly there are courses which courses speak about ethics related to those courses,
Hmm.
moral values related to those courses,
Hmm.
which are also very important and which the industries are seeking for that.
Right.
So unless and until we build that kind of confidence among the students, wherein whatever they have learned, they can apply it, they can practice it, they can come out with entrepreneurship, that education will be of no use.
Right.
Right.
Right, Dr. DNS. Professor Naik, you heard what Dr. DNS said, so I'll request you to share your comment also on this statement by Dr. DNS Kumar in
Yes.
about 30 seconds. And next question to you, Professor Naik, is that financial stability is also very important. How this component is crucial when
Yes.
we talk about the overall stability for higher education sector. Professor Naik.
Uh, Yes, as I can see, the first question which Professor Kumar was telling about the acceptance by the industry to those students who come out with online teaching. I can see that the industry is keenly looking after what is happening in online courses. In fact, many industries themselves have come forward with online type of courses which they can come and then they can give to the students. And I can even see that this such type of international collaborations, industrial collaborations is a welcome move by the industry. So if we put, as earlier speaker said, the component of skill development, the component of entrepreneurship, internship, and make our student professionally competent, the industry will be slowly accepting. Of course, it will take time. The students who have come out of online education, because they are also looking into what are the difficulties. And I can say many of the courses which are now in engineering are already being converted into simulation type of courses. So it is a practice which is already going on. Now, coming to the next question, that is the financial stability. It is a great challenge because, as I can see, in fact, not the in the Indian context, even I can see the good universities like Harvard or good universities where students were going on their own for the education, they are also feeling the heat of the pandemic, and they are also worried about how much students they are coming, and they have come out with new types of programs where they are reaching to us now. They are coming to the universities where there is a good manpower. For example, country like India, we have a demographic advantage. In fact, the students who really should get education in higher sector are maximum in a country like India. 70 million students, we say, are now in higher education in India. So financial stability is a great challenge, and it has, each institute has to work on it. And in that particular respect, we have to find out short certificate courses. We have to find out the courses which are rapid, or I can say which can give more skill orientation with less time and all those things. And part-time courses, then courses which can be given on weekend, courses which can be given to the in-service candidates. So all these things need to be implemented to make all higher educational institution financially stable now. And we have to be very keen while giving the course structure or course curriculum, that students should have a amalgamation, interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary type of courses, where they will have basic knowledge. Along with that, they will be learning some skill along with that. So scholarship type of advantages are coming. I'm happy that many philanthropists have come forward now to give the
Right.
scholarships to the students and then go ahead with the teaching programs. So definitely, financial stability is a great challenge. Each higher education institution looking into their present status of what type of courses they are going, have to come with collaboration, come with academic institutions which are giving similar type of courses, and look into the areas where they can make, for example, we can start skill oriented courses with startup type of grants. Then we can start incubation centers, a massive consultancy programs can be started. We can invite many of the industrialists to put their chairs in the universities, because these things have happened in other countries. So it is a
Correct.
time now, this pandemic has given an opportunity to the higher education institution to look for the financial support or funding from many other sources which they can do.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Naik. I'd like to now go to Professor Singh, Dr. Singh, and would like to ask him that, I was reading a long time back one of the interview of Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, and he just said that, the one of the thing that I do is I attend a lot of online courses. I still do that. So even after being a CEO of Microsoft, he enrolls himself for a lot of online courses and completes them with complete honesty. Now, the question to you is, Dr. Singh, is that how you what are your views on this particular statement, and how can we make these online courses as effective, as they are, just like any other offline courses, where students actually gets to learn something and implement those learning in his wherever he is working, and it can be beneficial for him for his professional career. Professor Singh, over to you, sir.
Hello. Can you
Yes,
hear? Can you hear me?
yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, this is a very important and pertinent question at the moment, which you have pointed out. I think to start with the online, this is not a new concept for all the teachers, for all the vice chancellor and other policymaker. We need to stress on the design thinking and to create the digital environment. And I think problem solving approach, as Professor Naik was saying and Professor Preeti was emphasizing, so because future is demanding, it's to reconcile with the expectation of the future. It's a self-correction is required, the commitment of all the educators with conviction and courage and confidence. This is, I think, need of the hour. It will certainly navigate the digital future of our universities. Uh, we are to pace up ourselves. Still, India, digital India, this is a clarion call of all of us. We are to reach the 5 trillion GDP. We are to touch 50% GERE. We are standing on a watershed in the history, whether it is a machine intelligence or it is artificial intelligence or it is a data analytics. So all these new technologies, they can beat the pace. Technology and digital technology is most visible globally. We are not much far now. So education refers to the process of the teaching, learning and relearning and redesign. So it is not trying to crawl, it is trying to fly. So
Right.
forcible online, this should not be the on the back end of our mind. We have to shift swiftly. So style of teaching has to be changed, conservative mind has to be ignored now. We have to come up with the online, even if there are so many challenges and issues. But I think with these type of platform brainstorming, we can reach to every single individual of our country. Even
Right.
if we have to increase the bandwidth, if we have to provide the free access to the online courses to our rural areas, so I think that will brighten their future. That will make them how to adopt technology, how to adopt the e-content, how to go for the discussion. So passive learning will not go now. We have to come out with the diversified electronic sources of content. So role of higher education should be to bridge the skill gap now. International students who will be coming, they will be interacting with the student who are not used to technology, so they can learn, they can share, we can generate knowledge and we can disseminate the knowledge and we can share the knowledge also. So effectiveness of the digital technology, digital learning will be the future of our country. So thank you very much.
Very well pointed out, Dr. Parvinder Singh. And I'd like to go to Dr. Shrihari. You are there, Dr. Shrihari Prakash Onward.
Yes, I'm there if you can hear me.
Yes, yes, I can hear you, sir. I request you to switch on the camera if possible, and would like to ask you
Uh,
that in unfortunate times of this pandemic, we have been probably able to develop our relationship with global universities and global private companies, and invent something new for the education system. Now the question is, a trend has been set already in as I said, in these unfortunate times of pandemic. How this trend is likely to be continued in future when things normalizes? What are your views on this?
I think we have taken giant leaps in terms of technology adaptation.
Hmm.
We have taken giant leaps in terms of our paradigms, which we have set aside.
Hmm.
It would be foolish to go back to our old paradigms that I am the sage on the stage and then I'll get all my students in my classroom and I will deliver my wonderful, oratory, which was. I think it's a thing of the past. There will be some of those interesting sessions which will happen, no doubt about it. There will be classroom sessions which we will go back to once it becomes safer. But I think the proof of the pudding that we have tasted, especially in online, I think a lot of universities would like to capitalize on that,
Hmm.
and the new norms will become the main norm in future. Uh, because the industry is looking at quick solutions. We are talking of skill development, and any skill development we do in our higher education institutions is only going to last for a couple of years after the person has graduated. We are lucky if it lasts him that much. uh, which means there is going to be a very large student force, I mean, the learners force, which needs continuous upgradation all the time. And these are the industry collaborations and university collaborations, which will really help in transforming the whole business of higher learning and skilling of manpower. Because the way changes are being thrown at us are happening at a very fast rate these days, and our higher education programs are typically, at least 2 years, if not 3 and 4 years. And now we are looking at every graduation degree to be 4 years. 4 years is going to be a humongous amount of time for sticking to a design of curriculum which can be delivered, because by the time he reaches the end, all the things he has acquired has already probably become redundant. I think this is something which will be the norm. Our curriculum will have to be dynamic, and to keep it dynamic, we need to be, I mean, now we are connected with the industry in some form, and those connections will have to be deep rooted. I mean, there has to be inroads into on both sides. Faculty continuously upgrading their knowledge and this thing by this connection with the industry, and same way industry trying to, getting their workforce which is ready for it by sharing that knowledge, by sharing that training skills through whichever modalities now they are coming up. I'm sure there will be many more modalities which will come. We are talking of gig workforces. I'm sure there will be those big gig training programs which will happen, and universities probably will hold the umbrella for these gig training programs, wherein a few experts and a few learners will come together under the auspices of a university and help themselves learn. I see that as the future. That's happening. That's going to happen.
One last question to Dr. Preeti Bajaj. However, the question is quite important, but due to the lack of the available time, we'll have to get a quick response from you, Dr. Bajaj. How are you promoting the research and development within your university?
Okay, so probably I would say, the Galgotias University since beginning, I mean, since its inception is promoting the research, but then right now the document which is available readily on our website, which is worth looking at, is the university. We are defining, research targets for every faculty, and the research targets for everything and anything which comes under the domain of research. This document is of 100, 200 pages. The wonderful mandate document which is available on our website, which decides the complete roadmap, where we are doing. And I would say, whether it is publication, whether it is a joint research, whether it is patent filing, whether it is innovation, whether it is having our own journal, whether it is extending consultancy or extension activity, collaboration, honorary professor, organization of conferences, everything. So and it's not only that, but then how we can inculcate the research skills amongst undergraduate. So we have a self-study course on research for, which can be opted by any student from first year to final year, and wherein 3 credit we can give. So that's the old practice which we have that since, I think, 2017-18. So research, when we are talking about, it's not only for driven to be, by the faculties, but the student driven research is what we are supporting and we are encouraging. So that's it in the short time, I could say. So lot of efforts are being taken 24/7, and then support system is, a special structure is also been created, as we have given in the mandate as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bajaj, and I once again thank all the panelists for coming here. We really and sincerely understand that 1 hour for academia is not enough. You have so much expertise and information with you all that there should be a complete day on this subject, and there are a lot of many things that we can learn from your experiences and your uh, 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 whatever expenses that you have. So now this panel discussion, achieving stability for higher education sector through global collaborations, will like to formally close here. We understand that IT and digitization is a key, and we also understand that we need to sustain and the relationship that probably we have developed in the times of COVID. when it comes to global collaborations, and those practices must be adopted in near future also, so that we can keep learning from universities from across the country, and students in our campuses keep learning from each other, and we benefit from what they have, and their students should also benefit from our talent, and professors and doctors like you who are 24 by 7 working on innovating the higher education sector in our country. We are really very glad that eminent panel, which includes Dr. D.N.S. Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Sushant University, Gurugram, Professor G.R. Naik, Vice Chancellor, Garden City University, Bangalore, Professor and Dr. Parvinder Singh, Vice Chancellor, Rayat, Bahra University, Mohali, Dr. Shrihari Prakash Honwad, President and Vice Chancellor, Sir Padampat, Singhania University, Udaipur, and Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor, Galgotias University, Greater Noida, took out time from your busy schedule and participated and shared your expertise on this follow-up. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present the certificate to you. I request my team to please bring the certificate on this screen. Thank you so much, Professor G.R. Naik, for participating in this panel discussion at this premier global event on innovation in education. Thank you so much, Professor and Dr. Parvinder Singh, Vice Chancellor at Bahra University, Mohali. Thank you, Dr. Srihari Prakash Honwad. Thank you so much for joining us at World Education Summit today. And Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor, Galgotias University, Greater Noida. With this, I like to once again end Dr. D.N.S. Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Sushant University, Gurugram. Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar. He has, however, not there on the screen, but we thank you all. And one more thing I'd like to encourage and request you all that we have a wonderful portal, digital learning. So I request everyone that our team will be getting in touch with you all. I request you all to please share your guest column with us, and we will be more than happy to publish your opinion and your views on our platform also. It will be an effort from our side also to bring your expertise on this platform, on digital learning web portal, so that the students, not just in your university, but students who are studying anywhere else in the country and the world can also learn from those articles and guest columns which shall be published on our platform. So thank you so much, and we will formally close this